Tonight, we're drifting far beyond our solar system into the quiet, endless dark where thousands of mysterious worlds circle distant stars. These are exoplanets, planets we can't touch, can't visit, but can sense through faint shadows, tiny wobbles, and distant beams of starlight. Each one holds a story, a secret, a quiet rhythm unfolding light years away. So, settle in, slow your breathing, and let your mind float across the galaxy as we explore 25 sleepy facts about exoplanets. If you enjoy calming science for bedtime, make sure to like, subscribe, and share. Now let's drift gently into the first fact. Now let's begin with the first fact, easing into this cosmic journey with the softest step possible. Many people imagine exoplanets as rare, scattered jewels in a huge empty sky, but the truth is the opposite. Exoplanets are everywhere. We now believe that almost every star in the night sky has at least one planet orbiting it. Imagine stepping outside on a quiet night and looking up at a sky filled with thousands of little points of light. Each one might have worlds circling around it, drifting in their own silent loops. Some might have 2 planets, others 10, some with tight orbits lasting only hours, and others taking centuries to circle their star just once. The quiet thought that the sky is not empty but full of worlds creates a slow, soothing sense of wonder. You are lying under a ceiling of endless planetary systems, each in its own peaceful rhythm, each moving in silence. Some of these planets could be rocky like Earth, others gas giants, some covered in ice, others glowing with molten surfaces. But the calming part is knowing that life, or something like it, might be drifting out there too. So as we rest on our tiny world, the universe rotates with countless other worlds, all carried gently by gravity in a timeless cosmic waltz. And with that image in your mind, we drift softly into the next fact when you're ready. Now, let's drift into fact 2, where we focus on how exoplanets are found not through direct sight, but through shadows. When a distant planet passes in front of its star, the starlight dips for a moment, just a tiny tremble. Imagine a candle flame flickering ever so slightly because something small moved in front of it. That's all we see, just a gentle dimming. And from this dimming, scientists can tell the size of the planet, the length of its orbit, and sometimes even the whisper of its atmosphere. It's such a delicate method, so soft and subtle, that it feels almost like listening for footsteps in freshly fallen snow. No sound, just the faint impression that something passed by. You can picture these stars blinking ever so slightly, far across the galaxy, each blink revealing a hidden world. It's a quiet process, patient and careful, as if the universe only reveals its secrets to those who approach with calm attention. Some planets create deep shadows, meaning they are large and close to their stars. Others barely touch the light at all, producing faint dips so tiny they almost seem like illusions. And yet, each one is real, another world circling another sun, detected not by force, but by the gentlest of cosmic hints. This softness, this subtlety makes the search for exoplanets feel like stargazing in a dream, where every flicker of light tells a story waiting to be uncovered. As we breathe out slowly, we can drift into fact 3, which is about the incredible diversity of exoplanets. So unusual, they almost feel like stories whispered from ancient myths. While our solar system feels familiar, predictable, even comforting, exoplanet systems break every rule we thought we understood. Some exoplanets orbit 2 stars at once, rising each morning with twin suns on the horizon. Imagine standing there, feeling 2 warm glows touching your skin, 2 soft shadows stretching across the ground behind you. Other planets are tidally locked, meaning one side faces eternal daylight, while the other side sleeps forever in darkness. On one half, scorching light. On the other, frozen stillness. And in between, a narrow twilight banda place where the temperature is just right. Where soft winds might drift endlessly along the edge of day and night, like a planet caught between two dreams. There are planets made almost entirely of water. Vast global oceans with no land at all. Some are diamond planets, formed under pressure so immense that carbon becomes crystal. Imagine an entire world sparkling quietly in the dark, reflecting faint starlight like a cosmic lantern. And then there are super-Earths, rocky worlds larger than ours, with stronger gravity that pulls everything close and tight. Walking there would feel heavy but grounding, as if the planet is embracing you with a firm, gentle hold. The universe seems to have infinite creativity, crafting worlds in patterns we haven't yet imagined. And these strange, beautiful, peaceful worlds drift silently through their orbits, untouched by anything except the patient pull of their stars. Now, with a slow breath, we move into fact 4, which reveals something even calmer. Most exoplanets are incredibly quiet. Not in the sense of sound cannot travel in the vacuum of space, but in the sense of motion. These planets glide through their orbits with such smooth consistency that some will not change their path for millions or even billions of years. Imagine a world circling its star in a loop so perfect, so stable, that every sunrise and sunset happens in the same rhythm, the same timing, generation after generation. No storms shaking the orbit, no gravitational surprises, just a steady drift, like a leaf floating in a gentle current. Many exoplanets orbit red dwarf stars, which burn slowly and softly for trillions of years. That means their planets live in extremely stable systems where nothing changes quickly. You could imagine a calm, quiet exoplanet bathed in a soft, reddish glow, drifting in an orbit that will last longer than the entire history of the universe so far. The starlight there would be dim, warm, almost sleepy in color. Days would pass slowly, the light never too bright, never too harsh. Even the shadows would feel gentle. And if life ever existed on such a world, it might move slowly too, evolving in an environment without rush, without urgency, just a constant, peaceful stability shaped by the quiet pull of gravity and the soft glow of a patient, ancient star. Now we drift softly into fact 5, and this one brings us to one of the quietest, most mysterious discoveries in astronomy. The strange, slow wobble of distant stars. Every planet pulls on its star, just a little, like a child tugging gently on a parent's sleeve. The star responds with a soft wobble, a tiny motion so smooth and subtle that you would never see it with your eyes. And yet, this wobble carries a world's entire story. Imagine watching a glowing lantern hanging from a branch in total darkness. If someone small tugs on the branch, the lantern shifts ever so slightly. You don't see the person, you only see the lantern move. That's how astronomers detect some exoplanets. Not by seeing the planet itself, but by watching the star sway in a tiny cosmic dance. This wobble, called a radial velocity signal, reveals the planet's mass, its speed, and even whether it's made of gas or rock. What makes this fact so soothing is the patience behind it. Scientists watch stars for months, years, sometimes decades, waiting for the tiniest rhythmic movement. It's like listening for a heartbeat through layers and layers of silence. And when the rhythm finally appears, a slight pull, a soft return, it means an unseen planet is there, quietly orbiting, gently tugging, repeating the same graceful motion again and again across the ages. Some planets tug fast, causing the star to sway with quick rhythm. Others tug so slowly that astronomers must wait tens of years just to witness one full wobble. These slow-moving planets feel ancient and calm, circling their stars with no rush, no urgency, only a steady, timeless pull. Just imagine that whole worlds revealed not through light or images, but through a soft stellar sway, a cosmic breath, a gentle motion so small it feels almost like the universe whispering, "Look closer, a world is here." And now, gently, we float forward into Fact 6, which reveals one of the most soothing concepts in planetary science, that exoplanets can have seasons far more delicate and complex than ours. While Earth tilts just enough to give us winter, spring, summer, and autumn, some exoplanets tilt dramatically, creating slow, sweeping seasons that last decades or centuries. Imagine a world where winter stretches on for an entire human lifetime. A cold, bluish twilight, settling over mountains, forests, and oceans for decades at a time. Then imagine the long, slow arrival of spring, not in weeks or months, but in softly shifting centuries. A planet that tilts deeply might spend half its orbit bathing one hemisphere in gentle light, while the other sleeps in endless night. Then the roles reverse, slowly, gradually, peacefully. Some exoplanets orbit two stars, which means they experience seasons unlike anything we can imagine. Double summers when both stars shine, soft dimming when one star sets while the other remains, or rare quiet nights when both stars slip behind the horizon together. The sky on such a planet would always be in gentle motion, the light changing its color and tone as the stars drift across the sky. And in the soothing darkness of those long exonights, moons might shine brighter, casting shimmering silver reflections across ice or ocean. Even gas giants, with their swirling bands of color, experience seasonal changes in temperature that create calm, slow evolving patterns in their clouds, giant atmospheric tapestries that shift like soft brushstrokes. The comforting part about these seasons is how patient they are. They unfold at the pace of the cosmos, not the pace of a calendar. There is something incredibly peaceful about imagining a world where the seasons move like drifting fog, slow, gentle, ancient. A world where time is measured not in years, but in epoch. And as we picture those quiet, wandering seasons, we drift smoothly to the next fact. Now, let's settle gently into Fact 7. Which brings us to one of the most poetic truths about exoplanets, that many of them are still forming, growing like sleeping infants in cosmic cradles made of dust and gas. Around young stars, enormous disks of swirling particles stretch out in wide rings. Within these rings, gravity begins its slow, patient work. Dust grains clump together, stones gather, and eventually, worlds start to grow. This process takes millions of years, yet it unfolds quietly, without noise, without hurry. Imagine watching snowflakes fall into a calm, frozen lake. One by one, they settle, merging, resting, layering themselves into something new. That's how planets form, gently, gradually, with each grain of material joining another. Some of these forming planets glow with heat from within, radiating a soft warmth like embers beneath a layer of ash. Others are surrounded by their own miniature disks where moons begin to grow, creating tiny solar systems within solar systems. And as these young exoplanets orbit their stars, they leave trails, soft, circular gaps carved into the dust, like rings left behind by a finger tracing across fogged glass. Astronomers can see these delicate patterns with powerful telescopes, and each ring, each swirl, each empty band is a clear sign. A newborn world is there. This is one of the sleepiest, calmest truths about the universe, that worlds are not thrown into existence with violence and noise, but with slow accumulation, soft collisions, gentle settling. Even the largest planets, the giant ones many times bigger than Jupiter, begin as tiny clumps drifting quietly through a cloud of dust. And over millions of years, these clumps gather more and more material until the planet becomes a fully formed sphere floating in the cosmic nursery. The thought of worlds being born not with chaos, but with quiet patience brings a deep sense of calm, as if the universe is constantly weaving, shaping, creating, not all at once, but slowly, peacefully, continuously. And now we drift into Fact 8, where we discover one of the most comforting ideas of all, that some exoplanets may be covered in soft, endless clouds, creating worlds where you would never see a solid surface, only layers of gentle atmosphere stretching downward for thousands of kilometers. Imagine floating in a serene, pastel-colored sky where the clouds never break, never thin, never reveal anything beneath. These cloud worlds, often called mini-Neptunes or gas dwarfs, have thick, dreamy atmospheres made of hydrogen, helium, water vapor, and exotic substances like methane or ammonia. Some might be blue as the Earth's oceans, others pale pink, lavender, soft gold, or deep turquoise, depending on the gases mixing in their skies. Sunlight filtering through these clouds would feel muted and diffused, like the warm glow of a candle through frosted glass. Winds would move slowly at lower layers, faster at higher altitudes, creating giant, gentle swirls that could last for centuries. And if rain exists on these planets, it could be made of unusual substances: methane rain, neon rain, or even molten glass rain in hotter atmospheres, falling softly through vast, dreamy cloud decks. Even storms on these worlds, though enormous in size, move in slow, hypnotic patterns when viewed from space, like swirling watercolor paint drifting through water. Some cloud worlds orbit red dwarf stars, which cast warm, reddish light across their atmospheres, creating skies that would look like eternal sunsets, calm, dim, almost meditative. And when the star grows dim or enters a resting phase, the entire planet may slip into a deep cosmic twilight, illuminated only by the faint glow of reflected starlight. These planets feel like the universe as quiet places, worlds without hard edges, without sharp lines, made entirely of gentle layers and soft curves. Worlds made for drifting, floating, wandering. Worlds that feel like dreams. Now that the quiet glow of Fact 8 has settled, we drift gently into Fact 9, where the night around exoplanets becomes even stranger and softer in its mysteries. So, Fact 9 belongs to the worlds that don't simply orbit one sunrise, but many. Some exoplanets circle stars that live in pairs or even trios, creating skies where the day carries more than one sun. Imagine a planet where the sunset is not a single fading glow, but a layered curtain of fading reds and golds, each star dipping behind the horizon at its own pace. The softest part of this fact is how these multiple suns paint the night with unusual rhythms. Nights never grow completely dark. Others shine in waves. And some planets experience long stretches of warm twilight that last for weeks. A place like this would never have the sharp boundaries we know. Instead, darkness would arrive slowly, like a tired traveler who pauses often before settling. Even the creatures, if any exist, would learn to rest in cycles guided not by a single star, but by a choreography of celestial light. It feels dreamy to imagine standing their shadows stretching in several directions, colors dissolving into one another, and the sky holding a sleepy glow that never fully disappears. And with that layered sky still in our mind, we move gently into fact 10, which belongs to the exoplanets that sleep while drifting far away from any star at all, the lonely wanderers of the galaxy. These are the rogue planets, drifting through interstellar space with no sun to warm them, no bright day to break their stillness. They float silently, wrapped in darkness so complete that even starlight arrives like a whisper. But the sleepy beauty is that many of these worlds may still hold warmth deep inside, leftover heat from their formation like a hidden ember glowing long after the fire has faded. Their surfaces might be frozen, quiet, untouched, but beneath miles of ice could be slow, warm oceans moving in hushed tides. These planets drift endlessly, without rush, without orbit, without sunrise. Their nights have no beginning and no end. They are the ultimate insomniacs of the cosmos, worlds that dream forever, drifting in a darkness that feels soft rather than cold, peaceful rather than empty. Just imagining them brings a strange calm, as if the universe itself has places where even time slows down to rest. From here, we ease into fact 11, which belongs to the exoplanets that glow softly in the dark, not with sunlight, but with their own internal light. Many young giant exoplanets burn with leftover heat, causing them to emit a faint warmth that can be detected even from across the galaxy. They aren't blazing stars, they're more like sleepy embers, glowing steadily with a gentle, reddish warmth. Their atmospheres may shimmer with slow currents of clouds made of metallic vapor, drifting lazily in bands across their surface. Some scientists describe these planets as still cooling off, like a kettle removed from the stove, slowly releasing the last of its heat. The dreamy part is imagining an entire planet glowing softly, night and day blending into a warm, hazy twilight. If you stood on such a world, if you could, there would be no harsh sun, no blinding light, just a constant, low, rust-colored glow, like living inside the dim light of a lantern. These planets feel like cosmic cradles where everything moves in slow waves, where even the storms would roll through the sky like thick, sleepy breaths. And as we let that gentle, glowing world drift behind us, we slide into fact 12, which belongs to the exoplanets with atmospheres so thick and dreamy that sunlight barely reaches the surface at all. These are the planets wrapped in layers upon layers of clouds that might stretch hundreds of kilometers deep, made of vaporized metals, exotic chemicals, or thick hazes that turn the entire sky milky and calm. On such a planet, daylight would feel like a soft glow diffused through endless mist. Shadows would blur, colors would fade into muted tones, and sound would move slowly through the dense air. Even storms, though powerful, would feel muffled, wrapped in cushioning layers that swallow sharp noise. Some of these worlds may be tidally locked, with one side always facing the star. But the thick atmosphere spreads heat so gently that the planet becomes evenly warm, like being wrapped in a cosmic blanket. Beneath all those clouds, the surface might be dim, warm, and profoundly quiet, as though the entire planet is resting under a comforter that has no end. It is a world that breathes slowly, holds temperature slowly, and drifts through space in a state of endless twilight. So now, with the thick, cloud-wrapped world of fact 12 drifting behind us, we move gently into fact 13, which belongs to the exoplanets that stretch and bend as if they are made of soft, cosmic dough. These are the worlds so close to their stars that gravity pulls them into shapes that are not perfectly round. Instead of being smooth spheres, they become slightly stretched, almost like a sleepy planet yawning, leaning toward its star with a gentle tilt. Scientists sometimes call them egg-shaped planets, but even that feels too sharp for what they truly are. Think of a world tugged ever so softly, bulging a little on one side, resting in a gravitational cradle, where light and heat constantly brush against its surface. Days on these planets would feel endless, not because time slows down, but because the star never seems to move much across the sky. The heat spreads like a warm fog, and the air, if there is any, would circulate in slow, enormous loops. Everything would feel stretched, elongated, and unhurried. Even the rocks might glow faintly from the constant warmth. These worlds teach us that even planets can relax into strange shapes, molded gently by the pull of their parent stars. And as that softly stretched planet settles into the background, we slip into fact 14, which belongs to the exoplanets that whisper with winds so slow and delicate that they move like tired breaths. Not every exoplanet is home to violent storms or raging jet streams. Some have atmospheres so calm, so stable, that the air drifts almost imagine standing on a world where the wind never rushes past your ears, never bends trees, never rolls dust across the surface. Instead, it moves silently, carrying gentle shifts in temperature like soft hands passing over your skin. Scientists believe that certain super-Earths, or many with thick atmospheres and low temperature contrasts, might have winds that take days or even weeks to travel from one side of the planet to the other. These winds would feel like breathing long inhales, long exhales, a rhythm so slow you'd barely notice it unless you sat still for hours. In such a world, weather would not be chaotic or dramatic. It would be steady, predictable, and incredibly peaceful, like living in a planet-sized lullaby of drifting air. Now, with those calm winds floating quietly in our thoughts, we move softly into fact 15, which belongs to the exoplanets that sleep under permanent nights, tidally locked worlds where only one side ever faces the star. You might think this eternal night would be cold, sharp, and ruthless, but many of these planets carry thick atmospheres or oceans below icy crusts that smooth out the temperature differences. The dark side becomes a world of soft shadows, where nothing changes suddenly. There is no sunrise, no sunset, no rush of day chasing away the quiet. Instead, the darkness is continuous and velvety, like being wrapped beneath an endless blanket. If you stood on such a world, your eyes would slowly adjust until the faintest glow from the star-facing side painted a gentle gradient across the horizon. Winds might carry warmth from the bright side, flowing in slow currents, creating a permanent twilight ring around the border. The creatures, if there were any, would evolve to live unhurried lives, guided by tiny shifts in temperature and faint glimmers of reflected light. It is the kind of darkness that doesn't frighten you, it soothes you, cushioning the senses and letting the mind drift like a slow-moving tide. And after letting that eternal night world settle into place, we slip quietly into fact 16, which belongs to the exoplanets that orbit so slowly that a single year can last centuries, worlds where time itself seems to stretch and recline. Some exoplanets take hundreds of Earth years to finish one orbit around their star, moving in giant lazy arcs through space. Imagine living on a world where seasons change so gradually that generations would pass before winter finally gave way to spring. Trees, if they existed, would grow slowly, adapting to the long stretches of gentle cold or lingering warmth. The sky would shift so gradually that you would never notice the changes day to day. It would take a lifetime to see the stars move across the heavens. Even the tilt of the world might shift slowly, creating cycles that unfold like deep breaths taken over centuries. These planets feel like the universe's meditation spacious worlds where nothing rushes, where time feels thick and syrupy, and where life, if present, would develop in unhurried rhythms shaped by endless patience. To visit such a world, even in imagination, feels like stepping into a cosmic sanctuary where every moment stretches itself out, soft and serene. Now that fact 16 has settled gently into place, the night-soft journey continues, and we drift slowly into fact 17. This fact belongs to the idea that some exoplanets may have 2 or even 3 suns glowing in their skies. Imagine standing on a distant world where daylight never truly ends, because just as one sun moves away, another slides up from a different direction. The light would be layered, one star casting a golden tone, another painting the ground in pale white, and maybe a third offering a faint orange shimmer. Shadows would never quite be simple. They would overlap, stretching in multiple directions, like delicate brushstrokes crossing one another. Some of these planets orbit in such a way that all their suns rise together, flooding everything in blinding radiance. Others experience a sleepy rhythm in which one star dips behind the horizon, while another quietly replaces it, giving the sky a restful, perpetual twilight. And if the stars are different sizes or colors, the sky might shift gradually from warm hues to cold ones, like someone slowly adjusting the dimmer settings of a cosmic lamp. It's soothing to imagine the landscapes bathed in soft, layered light, trees with no single shadow, oceans shimmering with multicolored reflections, and quiet mountain slopes glowing in strange blended tones. If you lived there, sunset might not even be a real word, just a gentle transition from one star's tone to another S, like drifting from one dream into the next without fully waking. And now, after the gentle glow of multiple suns, we slide into fact 8, which whispers about the possibility of rogue exoplanets, planets that drift freely through space with no star at all. These are worlds that have been pushed away from their original homes, wandering quietly through the blackness, like sleepy travelers lost between cosmic cities. A rogue planet doesn't have sunrise or sunset, no warm daylight, brushing over its surface only the deep, endless night. Yet some of them might still be warm inside. Their cores could hold on to ancient heat, slowly leaking warmth outward over billions of years. Under thick, insulating atmospheres, oceans could stay liquid, hiding in darkness beneath protective layers of ice. Imagine a faint, ghostly world drifting between stars, its surface cold and still. Yet far beneath deep, peaceful oceans, silently moving, warmed from within. No sky glow, no moonlight, no dawn. Just calm blackness and the steady hum of internal warmth. The thought of a lonely world floating in the quiet between suns feels strangely peaceful, like a small boat drifting on an endless, still ocean where nothing disturbs the silence except the soft, steady pulse of heat rising from below. These planets aren't dead there, simply resting, hidden from cosmic noise, like travelers taking long dreamless sleep as they move through space. And as that drifting world continues into the darkness, we ease gently into fact 19, which belongs to exoplanets known as hot Jupiters. These giant worlds orbit so close to their stars that a single year can be shorter than a single day. Their atmospheres balloon outward, heated to thousands of degrees, stretching into long glowing tails like comets made of gas. But the sleepy part of this fact lies in the way these planets are tidally locked to their stars. One side faces eternal day, blinding, scorching, roaring with heat. But the other side is locked in eternal night, a night so deep and permanent that the winds howl across the boundary between light and dark, carrying glowing gases from the bright side into the cold, shadowy half. When those gases cool, they might condense into clouds made of silicates dust that could crystallize into tiny grains, drifting downward like slow, shimmering glass snow. Imagine that. A place where the night sky never changes, where the stars remain perfectly still, and where the wind brings glowing material from the daylit side and then lets it drift down like stardust snowfall. Even though the winds are fierce, there is something strangely calming about the psycholite carried into darkness absorbing it, and then returning the cooled material back again. A giant world breathing in slow cosmic rhythms, bright and dark, hot and cold, like the inhale and exhale of a sleeping beast. And now, after the shimmering storms of the hot Jupiters, we drift softly into Fact 20. This fact is about exoplanets known as water worlds. Planets where oceans cover everything, no continents, no islands, no mountains peeking through the blue surface. Just endless, planet-wide seas stretching in every direction. On such worlds, the light of their star would reflect in wide, trembling arcs, making the horizon glow gently like a silk ribbon laid over dark water. The waves might move in slow, rhythmic patterns, shaped by winds, or they might be deeper and more powerful than any ocean on Earth. Beneath them could lie unimaginable depths, thousands of kilometers of layered, pressurized water, each layer quieter and darker than the one above it. Down near the lower boundaries, water might behave like a different substance entirely compressed into a form called superionic ice, glowing faintly as the oxygen lattice locks into place while hydrogen ions drift freely inside it. The planet could have a warm core heating the deep waters, creating currents that rise gently upward like slow underwater breaths. A water world would be a place of soft colors and endless movement, a planet where everything flows. No rigid structures, no harsh boundaries, just shifting blue, from bright, glittering surfaces to dim, peaceful depths. If you drifted on such an ocean, the world would feel like a cradle softly rocking, endlessly stretching into the horizon, with the sky touching the sea in a perfect circle of calm. Now, the gentle path of our journey leads us into Fact 21. And this one feels almost like a cosmic lullaby whispered through starlight. Some exoplanets drift so far from their stars that they barely receive any warmth at all. And over time, their atmospheres cool until they settle into temperatures unimaginably low. Sometimes colder than Pluto. Sometimes as cold as the deep emptiness between galaxies. These worlds are called cold Jupiters or cold Neptunes, depending on their size, and they move through their orbits in long, lonely arcs, lasting decades or even centuries. Their clouds may be made of frozen ammonia crystals or icy methane flakes, drifting slowly downward like a soft, invisible snowstorm. Imagine standing on such a world, if standing were possible, and watching particles of frozen gas fall silently around you, each piece glinting faintly in starlight so distant it looks like a pinhole in the night. There is no wind, there is almost no sound. Only the endless calm of a planet that has learned to exist in gentle cold. When astronomers point their telescopes toward these planets, they study tiny flickers and wobbles, but what they are really seeing is the quiet persistence of worlds that sleep in the farthest shadows of their suns, moving with the patience of centuries. And with that soft drift through the cold edges of space, we arrive at Fact 22, which brings us into the strange and soothing world of exoplanet weather. On Earth, rain is water, and storms feel loud and chaotic. But far beyond our solar system, on distant worlds, the sky's hosts, whether so unusual and beautiful, that it feels like something born from a dream. Some exoplanets may rain molten glass that falls sideways because of extreme winds, each shard glittering as it sweeps through the air. Others may rain diamonds deep within their atmospheres, where crushing pressure transforms carbon into sparkling crystal. Still others may have clouds made of shimmering metals that form layers of reflective mist. There are worlds where iron vapor rises like steam, cools, condenses, and falls as glowing droplets. Worlds where methane clouds thicken into deep, calm fogs. Worlds where thunderstorms flash silently through violet skies. Each of these storms is a reminder that the universe does not limit itself to familiar forms. It invents endlessly, quietly shaping atmospheres that feel both alien and strangely soothing, especially when imagined in the stillness of night. As you think of these distant skies, you might picture them like cosmic watercolor, painting slow-motion swirls of color and light, drifting through a sky that may never be touched by a living creature. From there, in a slow and natural flow, we move into fact 23, a fact that settles around you like soft stardust. Some exoplanets orbit not one star, but 2 or 3. These are called circumbinary planets, and they glide around multiple suns the way Earth moves around one. Imagine a world where the sunrise begins with 2 golden orbs lifting side by side above the horizon, filling the sky with overlapping rays of warmth. Then imagine sunset, when both stars slowly sink into a twilight layered with colors unknown to Earth, shades of violet gold or amber blue blending across the atmosphere. On planets with 3 stars, the sky becomes even more mesmerizing. Gentle arcs of light crossing paths, shadows bending in ways that feel impossible, and soft glowing halos moving across the surface. Some of these planets may experience periods of triple daylight, while others spend hours wrapped in a serene dimness when the stars align just right. For any beings that might one day live on such worlds, time itself would feel different. Daylight could come in waves, and night might arrive only in slender fragments. Scientists can only imagine what seasons look like there, but every model hints at slow, graceful transitions, a cosmic dance of suns and shadows. Thinking about these multiple star worlds is like watching a slow celestial waltz unfold, each movement gentle, steady, and infinitely calming. A water world would be a place of soft colors and endless movement, a planet where everything flows. No rigid structures, no harsh boundaries, just shifting blue, from bright glittering surfaces to dim, peaceful depths. If you drifted on such an ocean, the world would feel like a cradle softly rocking, endlessly stretching into the horizon, with the sky touching the sea in a perfect circle of calm. Now, the gentle path of our journey leads us into fact 21. And this one feels almost like a cosmic lullaby whispered through starlight. Some exoplanets drift so far from their stars that they barely receive any warmth at all. And over time, their atmospheres cool until they settle into temperatures unimaginably low. Sometimes colder than Pluto. Sometimes as cold as the deep emptiness between galaxies. These worlds are called cold Jupiters or cold Neptunes, depending on their size, and they move through their orbits in long, lonely arcs, lasting decades or even centuries. Their clouds may be made of frozen ammonia crystals or icy methane flakes, drifting slowly downward like a soft, invisible snowstorm. Imagine standing on such a world if standing were possible and watching particles of frozen gas fall silently around you, each piece glinting faintly in starlight so distant it looks like a pinhole in the night. There is no wind, there is almost no sound. Only the endless calm of a planet that has learned to exist in gentle cold. when astronomers point their telescopes toward these planets. They study tiny flickers and wobbles, but what they are really seeing is the quiet persistence of worlds that sleep in the farthest shadows of their suns, moving with the patience of centuries. And with that soft drift through the cold edges of space, we arrive at fact 22, which brings us into the strange and soothing world of exoplanet weather. On Earth, rain is water, and storms feel loud and chaotic. But far beyond our solar system, on distant worlds, the skies hosts weather so unusual and beautiful that it feels like something born from a dream. Some exoplanets may rain molten glass that falls sideways because of extreme winds, each shard glittering as it sweeps through the air. Others may rain diamonds deep within their atmospheres, where crushing pressure transforms carbon into sparkling crystal. Still others may have clouds made of shimmering metals that form layers of reflective mist. There are worlds where iron vapor rises like steam, cools, condenses, and falls as glowing droplets. Worlds where methane clouds thicken into deep, calm fogs. Worlds where thunderstorms flash silently through violet skies. Each of these storms is a reminder that the universe does not limit itself to familiar forms. It invents endlessly, quietly shaping atmospheres that feel both alien and strangely soothing, especially when imagined in the stillness of night. As you think of these distant skies, you might picture them like cosmic watercolor, painting slow-motion swirls of color and light, drifting through a sky that may never be touched by a living creature. From there, in a slow and natural flow, we move into fact 23, a fact that settles around you like soft stardust. Some exoplanets orbit not one star, but 2 or 3. These are called circumbinary planets, and they glide around multiple suns the way Earth moves around one. Imagine a world where the sunrise begins with 2 golden orbs lifting side by side above the horizon, filling the sky with overlapping rays of warmth. Then imagine sunset, when both stars slowly sink into a twilight layered with colors unknown to Earth, shades of violet gold or amber blue blending across the atmosphere. On planets with 3 stars, the sky becomes even more mesmerizing. Gentle arcs of light crossing paths, shadows bending in ways that feel impossible, and soft glowing halos moving across the surface. Some of these planets may experience periods of triple daylight, while others spend hours wrapped in a serene dimness when the stars align just right. For any beings that might one day live on such worlds, time itself would feel different. Daylight could come in waves, and night might arrive only in slender fragments. Scientists can only imagine what seasons look like there, but every model hints at slow, graceful transitions, a cosmic dance of suns and shadows. Thinking about these multiple star worlds is like watching a slow celestial waltz unfold, each movement gentle, steady, and infinitely calming. And now we drift quietly into fact 24, one of the most mysterious and soothing ideas of all. The possibility that some exoplanets may have oceans deeper and quieter than anything on Earth. These are called water worlds, planets where vast global oceans stretch from pole to pole without a single island breaking the surface. Imagine an entire planet covered in calm, endless waves. Some of these oceans might be hundreds of kilometers deep, far deeper than Earth's deepest trenches. Below their surfaces, pressure would increase slowly, layer by layer, until water transforms into exotic forms of ice-like ice-vi or ice-7 solid structures formed not from cold, but from crushing weight. Above these impossible depths, the surface might be perfectly smooth, with only slow, rolling motions caused by gentle winds. No land to interrupt the pattern, no continents to reshape currents, just a serene globe encircling, ocean reflecting starlight like a massive cosmic mirror. If these worlds have life, it might drift in silence beneath the waves, glowing softly in the darkness like tiny lanterns. Just as deep-sea creatures glow on Earth, these water worlds remind us that peace can exist even on planets humans will never touch, places where the only sound is the soft rhythm of waves pushing against a horizon that never ends. And finally, the journey brings us to fact 25, the last sleepy fact in this long, gentle voyage. It is the idea that some of the exoplanets we have discovered may no longer exist. Light takes time to travel, and when we observe a planet hundreds or thousands of light years away, we are seeing it as it was long ago. Some planets we think of as real may have been destroyed by their stars, or pulled apart by gravitational tides, or evaporated by intense radiation, or collided with other bodies in spectacular, slow-motion cosmic fireworks. Yet in our telescopes, they still appear ghost worlds, echoes of the past, their final light still crossing space to reach us. There is something strangely peaceful about this idea, that the universe keeps memories in the form of light, holding onto images of worlds long gone, so that we can witness them in gentle silence. It is like looking into a cosmic photo album where every page belongs to a different decade, century, or millennium. These ghost planets remind us that time moves differently in space, stretching out in long, quiet currents. And as we gaze upward, we are not just observing the present, we are drifting through layers of history, illuminated softly by the glow of stars. And now, as our long, dreamy journey across 25 sleepy facts comes to its end, you can let your mind settle into the calmness that these distant worlds carry. Exoplanets spin, drift, shimmer, and transform in silence, each one adding a soft note to the quiet music of the universe. Their storms, their oceans, their ghostly reflections, their strange skies all are reminders that the cosmos is vast and gentle, offering endless places where imagination can rest. So for now, breathe slowly, let the stars fade softly in your mind, and let yourself settle into a peaceful night. Good night, and sleep well among the stars.